When humanity first reached the stars, the galaxy did not welcome them with open arms. The Galactic Council, a coalition of thousands of species, saw Earth as a primitive world unworthy of recognition. They studied humanity's wars, their aggression, their history of division, and declared that no such species could be trusted among civilized space. The verdict was swift. Earth was isolated, forbidden from trading or joining any interstellar union. To the Council, humanity was a danger, a wild ember best left smothered. The Council believed that cutting them off would keep the galaxy safe. What they did not understand was that isolation had never broken humanity. It had always forged them. For a generation, the people of Earth worked in silence. The first colonies on Mars, Europa, and Titan expanded not under alien guidance, but through their own relentless will. Without access to galactic technology, they engineered their own drives, their own weapons, their own methods of survival. The lack of aid made every achievement sharper, every success harder earned. While the other species lived in complacent harmony under the Council's protection, humanity thrived in adversity. When the first human interstellar ship, the Resolute, jumped beyond the solar frontier, no alien power expected it to return. The Council called it suicide. But the ship came back, carrying not just data but minerals from uncharted systems, blueprints for efficient reactors, and the experience of an entire crew that had lived through the impossible. It was the beginning of something the galaxy had never seen before, a species that refused to be contained. Within 50 years, the Sol Commonwealth was born. It was not an empire nor a kingdom, but a federation of self-reliant worlds bound by determination. Every colony contributed to the same cause, to prove that humanity did not need permission to exist among the stars. They built fleets not for conquest but for protection. Yet the galaxy saw their growing strength and trembled. The Council summoned representatives from all known civilizations to debate the human question. Reports of rapid militarization alarmed them. Scouts spoke of fleets the size of nations, of stations orbiting black holes, of human colonies stretching beyond charted sectors. The Council envoys whispered that humans were preparing for war. But what truly frightened them was not the weapons. It was the speed at which humans advanced. What took most species millennia, humans achieved in centuries. A motion was passed to impose sanctions. Council patrols were sent to block human expansion routes. Trade routes were severed. Every embassy that had tried to establish contact was ordered to withdraw. They wanted to contain Earth once again. But humanity had already outgrown their chains. On the frontier world of Halcyon, a human outpost came under attack by unknown raiders. The Council patrol in orbit did nothing, bound by the law of non-interference. Hundreds of colonists perished before reinforcements arrived. The Council sent condolences. Humanity sent warships. In a single week, the raiders' fleet vanished. Their strongholds burned, their leaders captured, and their technology repurposed. The Council protested, claiming humanity had violated interstellar law. The Commonwealth responded with calm silence. They no longer recognized the authority of the Council that had once cast them out. That was the moment the galaxy realized it could no longer control humanity. The Council dispatched a delegation to demand compliance. They expected negotiation. Instead, they found a fleet waiting for them, a line of sleek warships with black hulls that shimmered like obsidian. The flagship loomed larger than any vessel the Council had ever built. Its commander spoke through the comms, his voice calm, unyielding. "You left us in the dark. We learned to see there." Those words echoed across the stars. The Council tried to unite against them. Fleets from dozens of species gathered in the Kelran expanse, hoping to intimidate the humans into submission. But humans had long since mastered the art of survival against impossible odds. Their strategy was not brute force, it was precision. When the Council fleet advanced, humanity did not meet them head-on. They scattered, vanished, and reappeared where no one expected. Entire flotillas found their systems jammed, their sensors blinded, their supply lines cut. The war lasted 7 days. When it ended, the Council fleet no longer existed. Human losses were minimal. The Council demanded an explanation. They received silence once more. In the aftermath, human explorers spread faster than ever. They colonized uninhabited worlds, terraformed frozen moons, built orbital cities above gas giants. They named each colony not in pride but remembrance. Remnant, Resolve, Dawn, Persevere. Every settlement was a symbol of endurance. Every ship bore the marks of a people who had clawed their way through the void without help. And still they did not seek revenge. When lesser species approached them, those neglected or oppressed by the Council, humanity welcomed them. Refugees from forgotten worlds found homes on human colonies. Scientists from isolated systems joined human academies. Traders who had been forbidden from interspecies contact were invited into human space. Slowly, a new network of alliances formed, one built not on law or bureaucracy but trust. The Council began to fracture. Some of its member species saw what humanity offered and left to join them. Others feared reprisal and clung tighter to the Council's dying order. The galaxy, once united under a single governing body, now stood divided between those who believed humanity was a threat and those who saw them as hope. The turning point came with the arrival of the Rift Crisis. A dimensional tear opened near the galactic core, releasing a storm of energy that devoured everything in its path. Entire systems vanished into the void. Council scientists were helpless, their centuries of research useless against the unknown force. Desperation spread. For the first time in generations, the Council sent a signal to Earth. They did not demand this time. They begged. Humanity listened. Then they acted. A combined fleet of thousands departed from human space, ships of every design and purpose carrying engineers, soldiers, and scientists. The operation was called Sanctuary Shield. While the Council's fleets fled from the core, humanity advanced toward it. The spectacle of their approach was seen across the stars, lines of vessels flying in perfect formation, unafraid of the storm. They entered where no one else dared. For months the galaxy waited. Council broadcasts showed collapsing systems, dying stars, and the endless roar of the rift. But deep inside that chaos, the human fleet worked. They deployed devices the Council had never seen. Massive stabilizers powered by artificial singularities. They used mathematics no other species had developed. They burned their ships to hold the barrier long enough for the remaining colonies to evacuate. When the rift finally closed, half the human fleet was gone. The survivors returned, battered but victorious. The core systems were saved. The Council sent messages of gratitude, expecting humanity to finally rejoin them. Instead, humanity replied with a single statement. "We are not seeking seats in your hall. We are building our own." From that day, the Sol Commonwealth became the heart of a new alliance, the Stellar Union. It was open to all species, regardless of heritage or council rank. Its laws were simple: freedom, cooperation, and defense against tyranny. Where the Council ruled through fear of isolation, the Union thrived through shared strength. Centuries passed. The Council, weakened and divided, tried to rekindle its authority. But their fleets were old, their ideals outdated. Meanwhile, human-engineered ships traveled between galaxies. They built megastructures that turned barren systems into sanctuaries. They explored beyond known space, reaching even the dark voids where light itself feared to travel. One day, explorers from a distant world approached the ruins of an ancient council station. Inside, they found archives detailing the Council's early decrees, records of the day humanity was declared unworthy. The explorers transmitted those records back to the Union. The message circulated across every human world. It did not bring anger, only reflection. Humanity had long since moved past the need for validation. They no longer cared for the Council's judgment. The galaxy that once rejected them now thrived under their guidance. Countless species lived under the banner of the Union, protected by fleets forged in solitude, guided by principles born from rejection. Still, stories persisted among the younger races, tales of the time when the galaxy had tried to suppress humanity. To them, the humans were not conquerors but guardians who had risen from exile. They called them the architects of the void, the builders of stars, the keepers of dawn. But among the humans themselves, there was no such pride. On Earth, now a vast capital of oceans and towers, a single monument stood at the heart of the old United Nations Plaza. It bore no names, only words carved into stone. They cast us out. We learned to fly. It became a lesson passed down through generations, not of vengeance but perseverance. To be human was to endure. To rise not because others allowed it, but because the stars demanded it. And though the galaxy had grown vast, there remained frontiers still unexplored. Human explorers continued their journeys into the dark, driven by the same unbreakable spirit that had guided the first settlers of Mars. They did not seek conquest nor dominance. They sought purpose. For every world that humanity touched, every civilization that joined the Union, the story was told again and again, how a species once ostracized by fear had become the symbol of hope. Into